Hello, everybody. Welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and if I sound different today, it's because I'm currently a bit under the weather, which got me thinking about my favorite board games to play when I'm alone and feeling a little crummy. The games on this list are like warm tomato soup. They're comfort food games. They should be easy to set up and easy on the brain with zero stress. A happy theme is also a nice bonus. Okay, I need to go take a nap, so let's just dive right in. Number 10 is On Tour, but this is a stand-in for basically all simple roll and write or flip and write style games. And boy are there a lot of them. I typically don't care for this genre, but when I'm not feeling great, these games tend to fly off the shelf because they just work so well. They have few components, so setup is super easy, and you can put as much or as little thought into them as you feel like. On Tour is one of my favorites for that very reason. Each round, you roll two massive d10s, so let's say you roll a 1 and a 5. You then must assign a 15 and a 51 to two different states, based on the region shown on the 3 revealed cards. You keep doing this until every state has a number. At the end of the game, the goal is to be able to trace a path of ascending numbers to as many states as possible. That's way easier said than actually done, and it's extremely satisfying when you pull off a great tour across the country. There you go, that's my number 10 On Tour. Speaking of flip and writes, my number 9 is Tiny Towns, which is not actually a flip and write, but it sure feels like one. In this city building game, you are flipping cards and placing resource cubes on a 4x4 grid, trying to match patterns on building cards. When you match a pattern, you can take off the cubes and place a wooden building on one of the squares. This frees up space to add more resources and create more buildings, but your space quickly becomes limited. Careful planning is a must if you want to come anywhere close to filling your board. I love the coziness of this design and how quickly it can spiral completely out of control. It's one of those games that will have you laughing in frustration and then quickly resetting to play just one more time. If I ever want that roll and write feel, but I'm okay with manipulating components, I always turn to Tiny Towns, my number 9. My number 8 is Maquis. Maquis is a small box solo-only game where you place your worker meeples in locations throughout a city that provide different resources or actions. The twist here is that police meeples are being randomly placed in locations as well, and at the end of the round, your workers need to be able to trace a clear path back to your hideout. If they can't, they're caught by the police and you lose them for the rest of the game. This means you will often begin a round by placing workers at critical intersections, not because you need the action, but just to support your other workers that are venturing deeper into the city. Inevitably, there'll be moments when you're running out of time to complete your missions and you must take more risky moves. I really love how this streamlined design adds push your luck to the typical worker placement formula, and that's why it's my number 8, Maquis. Number 7 is For Northwood. For Northwood is a solo-only trick-taking card game. Now that sounds like it couldn't possibly work, but it actually creates a wonderfully puzzly game where you're attempting to win an exact number of tricks by strategically using a growing pool of special abilities. I love how quick this one is to get to the table. You just shuffle up and start playing using very basic trick-taking rules. If you've ever played a trick-taking game before, you'll have no problem jumping into this one. Having different special abilities available each game keeps each play feeling fresh, but not overwhelming to learn. This honestly feels like you're just playing a traditional card game, something like Klondike, only it's just so much more interesting. And the cute artwork is guaranteed to lift your spirits when you're feeling down in the dumps. So that's why it's my number 7, For Northwood. Number 6 is Dorfromantik. This is a board game version of the chillaxing video game, and it really captures the feeling of the original, perhaps too well. Board gamers aren't really used to games with so little tension and stakes. You are simply drawing and placing tiles with very few restrictions. You'll always have these three goal tiles on your board. And when the size of the corresponding region reaches the number on the token exactly, you score the token and place out a new goal tile. It's easy and straightforward, but that doesn't mean that the game is completely brain dead. You have plenty of decisions to make, and I find it very satisfying when things fall in line. Sure, the luck of the draw takes the teeth out of the puzzle a little bit, but within the context of this list, I think that's actually a good thing. I've had a pleasant time with Dorfromantik. I think there's room in my collection for a few games like this that fit a very specific mood. Some will say just play the video game, but if you're like me and you try to cut screens out of your life as much as possible, then this one is worth a try. That's my number 6, Dorfromantik. Sticking with tile laying, my number 5 is Cascadia. Cascadia is an extremely popular and approachable game that features 2 layers of tile laying. You start by drafting a landscape tile and a connected animal token from the display. You then must add the tile to your growing land, hoping to create large regions of the same terrain type. After that, you place the animal token on a tile that will support it. The animals score at the end of the game depending on different scoring cards. So you might try to create pairs of bears or long straight lines of salmon, something like that. It sounds a lot more puzzly and brain burnery than it actually is. In practice, Cascadia feels super casual. And when you're feeling bad, a nature theme is exactly what the doctor ordered. So there you go, that's Cascadia, my number 5. Number 4 is ROVE. But again, I'm using this as a stand-in for your favorite solo button-shy wallet game. This series of games works great for sick days. I'm personally a fan of spatial puzzles, so ROVE is absolutely the perfect pocket micro game for me. You have these 6 cards or modules on the table. Your goal is to move them around to form specific configurations, but each module moves in a unique and at times annoying way. Accomplishing a particular task might be easy in, say, 5 moves, but can you figure out how to do it in 4 or even 3 moves? Often there's a more efficient way, and when you discover the solution, it feels so satisfying. I could have easily put a handful of button-shy games here, like Sprawlopolis or Natureopolis. But ROVE is my current favorite, and that's why it's number 4. Coming in the top 3 is Coffee Roaster. Coffee Roaster is a solo-only bag builder about brewing the perfect cup of coffee. You start with a bag filled with unroasted beans of value 0, along with some flavor tokens. Each round you pull out a certain number of tokens from the bag. You then get to manipulate them using special abilities, discarding bad stuff like water and smoke, and then roasting all of the bean tokens to the next highest number. So the zeros become 1s and the 1s become 2s, up to a roast level of 4. Anything above a 4 becomes a burnt bean, and you definitely don't want that. After roasting, everything goes back into the bag, so your roast value of your bag is steadily increasing. And you just keep doing this round after round, trying to perfectly tune the bag of beans. So when you brew your cup of coffee at the end of the game, you can pull out exactly the right tokens. Everything about this game is quirky, from its theme to its artwork to the gameplay, which is really unlike anything I've played before. I find this game to be so relaxing and even meditative, making it a great quick game to pull out when you need a boost. That's number 3, Coffee Roaster. Number 2 is The Lost Expedition. I'm kind of breaking all the rules I set out at the beginning because The Lost Expedition has plenty of stress and the theme is the opposite of sunny and happy. Nevertheless, this is a game I constantly turn to when I'm just not feeling that good, and I always find it enjoyable to play. It helps that I love exploration and survival games, and this is one of the few simple and quick ones that still really captures those themes. The gameplay works so well as you're trying to order your hand of cards just right to avoid the really nasty events and capitalize on the beneficial ones. The fact that the method for ordering and resolving your cards changes, whether it's the morning or the evening, is a brilliant twist which adds sneaky depth. Also, this one really stands out due to its evocative artwork on these just awesome tarot sized cards. I really can't recommend this one enough. It's my number 2, The Lost Expedition. And my favorite game to play when I'm sick is At the Gates of Loyang. Coincidentally, I just did a full solo playthrough of At the Gates of Loyang. In fact, I've done solo playthroughs of nearly all of the games on this list, so go check them out. But I'm not sure that an illness has gone by where I didn't bust out At the Gates of Loyang. It's my ultimate comfort food game for so many reasons. First of all, it's got to be one of the quickest setups for any medium to medium heavyweight Euro game. You're literally up and playing in minutes. Secondly, everything is so colorful and lovely with the chunky wooden vegetable meeples. And the gameplay, it's just so free-flowing and pleasant. You buy and sell vegetables, trade with market stalls, use helper special abilities, plant and harvest fields, and ultimately try to fulfill short and long-term contracts for money. This game just feels different. And I'll fully admit, this is a very personal choice, so nostalgia is definitely playing a role. But I have to be honest here, and At the Gates of Loyang is just my personal ultimate comfort game, and that's why it's my number 1. And there you have it, 10 solo board games that I recommend for when you're feeling under the weather. What are some of the games you play during those awful sick days? Are you like me and you gravitate to shorter and simpler games? Or do you like to try to tackle the heavier stuff when you're not feeling well? Maybe you find yourself not playing board games at all and instead you'd rather just watch TV or play video games or read a book. Let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. And while you're at it, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.